Let's get a divorce. I'm cheating on you. For a second, I thought I'd misheard her. Isabelle Sterling, elegant, composed, untouchable, stood before me with her arms crossed, every inch the ice queen she was rumored to be. Her words hit like a bucket of cold water, and for a moment, I could only stare at her, dumbstruck. When I didn't respond, she raised an eyebrow, her tone sharpening. And besides, she continued coolly, what does your little affair have to do with me? Did she put you up to this? Well, the answer is no. Not happening. I blinked, still reeling. So much for the unshakable Isabelle Sterling. The woman who once seemed carved from marble was now having a full-blown meltdown, all because of me. And this was the woman I'd married under a purely transactional agreement. No love, no feelings, just appearances. I'd made myself a promise on our wedding day. Don't fall for her. No matter what, it wasn't supposed to be difficult. Isabelle was beautiful, yes, breathtaking even. But she was also cold, disciplined, and distant. A woman born for boardrooms, not bedrooms. She had her empire, and I had my freedom. At least that's what I thought. Listen, I'd told her the night we got married. I won't interfere in your life, and I won't expect anything in return. We just need to keep up appearances. Fine, she'd replied, her voice like glass, sharp and emotionless. Perfect. I thought we understood each other. She was rumored to already be in love with someone else, a mystery man from her past. I never cared enough to find out who. As long as he stayed out of sight, I could live with it. The money was good. The name Sterling still carried weight. All I had to do was play my part. And so, our marriage became a performance, a pair of polite strangers sharing the same roof. Our conversations were limited to formalities. Morning, evening, good night. Sometimes, if she was feeling generous, she'd tell me to take an umbrella or warn me about a heat wave. It was civil. Lifeless, but civil. One evening, as I was heading out, she looked up from her laptop and asked, "Going to the Vanguard tonight? I can have the driver take you." I paused, caught off guard by her sudden interest. The Vanguard, my usual haunt. A club where rich men went to remind themselves they were still young, surrounded by noise, liquor, and women who smelled of perfume and regret. "Yeah," I said. "Don't wait up." She only nodded, her expression unreadable. The first and last time she joined me there had been shortly after our wedding. My friends had swarmed her instantly. Well, Matt had slurred, a smirk playing on his lips. Didn't think the great Isabelle Sterling would actually show up. "What, checking on your new husband already?" She'd smiled awkwardly, smoothing her skirt. "I think it's important to support my husband," she'd replied, her tone polite, measured. Minutes later, her phone rang. An emergency at the office, of course. She left in a rush. I'd known even then it wasn't about work. It never was. After that, my friends made it their mission to drag me down their path. "Come on, Leo," Matt said one night, grinning. "You've got the looks, the money, might as well enjoy it." "Don't tell me your wife's got you on a leash," another joked. "You think she's sleeping alone?" Their laughter filled the room. I tried to laugh along, but something in my chest twisted. Before I knew it, there were models lined up in front of me. Flawless, young, perfect. I picked one almost at random. She was quiet, a little nervous, her eyes uncertain. I poured her a glass of wine. She leaned in, soft lips parting. And just as she was about to kiss me, Isabelle's face flashed in my mind, her cool, poised expression, the faintest curve of a smile from our wedding photo. I flinched and pushed the girl away. "Never mind," I muttered. "You can go!" Matt was howling with laughter. "Seriously, Leo, I pulled strings to get you college girls. Don't tell me you've got a problem downstairs." I shot him a glare sharp enough to cut steel. "You want to find out?" He stumbled off, still laughing. The moment was ruined. I went home, sat on the edge of the bed, and stared at the wedding picture. Isabelle's faint, forced smile stared back at me. I told myself I hated her, that this marriage was a burden. But my chest said otherwise. She was everything I wasn't. Focused, capable, brilliant. She'd turned her family's dyeing business into a global powerhouse before 30. She was perfection personified, and I, her flawed, unworthy husband. Still, I couldn't shake the thought that maybe she'd married me to cover up her real love affair. Maybe I was the convenient shield, the respectable husband in her spotless life. That should have made me angry. Instead, it made me ache. So I decided to fight back, in my own way. On our second anniversary, I set the stage. Candles, roses, dinner. The works. When she walked in, her eyes flickered with surprise. Just for a second. Then she frowned. "What is all this?" she asked, her voice flat, impatient. "I thought we could—" I started. "If you're done, go to bed. I'll have the housekeeper clean this up tomorrow." And just like that, she turned and left. She didn't come home for a month. At first I was furious, then embarrassed. Finally, I just felt tired. Was it really so wrong to want to feel something, anything, with the woman I'd married? When she finally came back, I was waiting. "You want a divorce?" she asked, holding the papers, her voice trembling for the first time. "Why?" I let out a bitter laugh. "You really don't know? We don't talk. We don't share a bed. We barely exist in each other's lives. The only thing you ever ask me is if I need money." I stopped myself. If I said another word, I'd tell her the truth, that I'd fallen for her, that I was the fool who'd broken his own rule. So instead, I said the one thing that would hurt her enough to let me go. "I'm in love with someone else." I lied. "And I want to be with her." Silence. And then she looked away. The queen of ice, melting, just a little. But it was already too late. The air between us turned electric, thick and heavy, like the moment before a storm breaks. Isabelle's gaze pinned me where I stood. There was lightning in her eyes, the kind that could scorch the earth. For a second, I actually had to fight the ridiculous urge to say something cinematic, like, "Please, Your Majesty, spare my life." "What's wrong with my brain?" I muttered under my breath. "You're saying you have a mistress?" Isabelle's voice was low, trembling with fury and disbelief. I swallowed hard and nodded. "Yes, and I don't want her to be the other woman anymore. I want to give her a real life, with me. So we need to get a divorce." Her pupils flared. For a heartbeat, she just stood there, shaking, her fingers curling into fists at her sides. I was about to say something, anything, to soften the blow when she suddenly pointed a trembling finger at me. "If you're having an affair, that's your problem. You break up with her. Why should I have to get a divorce? What kind of decent woman agrees to be a mistress? As long as I don't agree to this, she'll always be the other woman." She drew herself up, her voice breaking as she glared at me through glassy eyes. "Divorce is not an option. Do you hear me? Absolutely not." Her eyes were red, her breath shallow. I handed her a tissue and tried to keep my voice calm. "Hey, don't do this. I know I'm the bad guy here, but at least listen. If we divorce, you'll finally be free. Free to be with your real soulmate. You're running your company now. Your family can't control your life anymore. Isn't that what you've always wanted?" Before I could finish, Isabelle snatched the divorce papers from my hands and tore them apart. The shreds fluttered to the floor like snow. "She wants my place?" Isabelle hissed. "She can keep dreaming." And with that, she spun on her heel and stormed into the bathroom, the door slamming behind her. I sat there, staring at the torn papers. Then it hit me, the real reason she'd reacted like that. It wasn't just pride or jealousy. Our companies were in the middle of a massive joint venture. If we divorced now, both stocks would crash, the deal would crumble, and everything would fall apart. I sighed, slapping my thigh. "Damn it," I muttered. I miscalculated. Of course she'd seen it instantly. She was a genius in business, and her mind always went to the numbers first. For the next few days, Isabelle started coming home early. At first, I thought it was coincidence. Then I realized she was hovering. If I sat on the couch scrolling through my phone, she'd sit across from me, pretending to work. If I cooked, she'd appear out of nowhere to watch me like a hawk. One evening, I burned the steak, completely blackened. "It's a little charred," I said, holding up the pan. "You want it?" She glared. "You only ever offer me food you ruin." "Fine," I shrugged, scraping the steak into the trash. But before I could, she lunged forward, grabbed my wrist, and dumped the burnt meat on a plate. Then she sat down and started eating, furiously. "I thought you didn't want it," I said. "If she can eat your cooking, why can't I?" I froze. Oh, so that's what this was about. She was picturing the woman who didn't even exist, weirdly. It was kind of adorable. That night, I'd just settled in bed when the mattress dipped beside me. Instinctively, I scooted away. Isabelle lay on her side, watching me with wounded eyes. "Do you hate me that much?" she whispered. My throat went dry. "No, of course not." I didn't know what else to say, so I reached over and turned off the light. In the darkness, I felt her shift closer. Her arm brushed mine. For a wild, fleeting second, I prayed she'd just grab me, pull me close, and end this insane tension. But she didn't. The night passed in silence. When I woke, she was gone. A note sat on the nightstand. "Office emergency. Wait for me." She had her world. I had mine. Or did I? That morning, I got a text. "Leo, it's Chloe. Can we meet?" Chloe? Oh, right. Chloe Miller, the shy model from that night. The one who'd looked like a college student trying to pay rent. I called her. She picked up immediately, her voice bright and warm. "Leo, you called. I got into Kalaya University. I wanted to thank you. I couldn't have paid tuition without your help." As she spoke, the memories came back. The nervous girl with the trembling voice. The one I'd sent home after paying her just to make sure she'd be okay. She'd had a gambler for a father, a sick mother, no way out. That night was supposed to be her first time. And now, she was heading to an Ivy League school. She wanted to meet once before she left. How could I say no? We agreed on a Starbucks. I only realized later it was on the ground floor of Isabelle's office building. Still, Isabelle didn't drink coffee, so it was probably safe. When I walked in, I saw Chloe sitting by the window, sunlight turning her hair to gold. She wore a simple sundress, but she glowed with youth and hope. I suddenly felt ancient. "Leo, what do you want to drink?" "My treat," she said, smiling shyly. I glanced at the board and chose a plain black coffee. She frowned. "No, please. Get something nicer. I have 3 part-time jobs now. I can afford it. Don't make me feel guilty." I chuckled and tapped her lightly on the head. "It's not about the money. I actually like black coffee. And drop the formal stuff. Just call me Leo." Her face lit up. "Okay. Leo." I smiled, but then... Leo. The sound of my name froze me. Isabelle. She stood at the entrance, her expression thunderous. Behind her were several of her employees. Sharp suits, sharper eyes. Oh, hell. She strode over and leaned close enough that I could smell her perfume. "Play along," she hissed under her breath. "My team's watching. Give me some face." I glanced at her entourage. They were pretending not to stare, but their curiosity was practically vibrating off them. I nodded stiffly. "This is Chloe Miller," I said quickly. "A friend of mine." "A friend?" Isabelle's smile was ice. She leaned closer to Chloe, her tone sweet and venomous. "You hear that, sweetheart? Just a friend. Leo still comes home to me every night. And drop the innocent act. It's not fooling anyone. How much would it take for you to leave him alone?" Her words hit like a slap. Chloe's lips parted, her eyes wide. I wasn't trying to fool anyone," she stammered. "I just wanted to thank Leo." Tears welled in her eyes. I snapped. "Isabelle, what the hell is wrong with you?" "Apologize now." She blinked, stunned. "Leo, can't you see what she is? She's a snake." "I don't care if she's a rattlesnake," I shot back. "Apologize, or I'm leaving with her." She froze, then grabbed my arm. "Fine, I'll apologize." She turned to Chloe, jaw tight. "I'm sorry." Then she faltered. "Wait, why am I apologizing? She's trying to steal my husband." Chloe looked mortified. She bowed quickly. "It's okay, it was a misunderstanding. I should go. Bye, Leo." As she passed, she slipped a small box into my hand and disappeared out the door. Behind us, Isabelle's team was still loitering, pretending to scroll through their phones while obviously eavesdropping. I sat down with a sigh. "I thought you were buried in work. What are you doing drinking coffee?" Her mood had shifted completely. "Finished early," she said lightly. "Thought I'd treat the team." "Order whatever you want, guys. It's on me. My husband and I just need a minute." Her employees beamed. You two are so cute together, Miss Sterling. Thank you, Isabelle said with that perfect camera-ready smile. One of the women turned to me, grinning. Mr. Hayes, you're so lucky. Miss Sterling talks about you all the time at work. I blinked. She does? Isabelle coughed, flustered. All right, that's enough. Go order before I change my mind. As they walked off, I couldn't stop thinking about what the woman had said. Isabelle talked about me at work. Why did that make my heart ache just a little? No, wait. Isabelle's employee hadn't said she talked about me. She'd said she talked about her husband. And the rumor was, Isabelle was in love with someone else. My good mood evaporated like steam. I stared at her across the table, suspicion creeping into my voice. You brought the guy you're in love with into your company, didn't you? Her eyes widened. I'd hit a nerve. I'd done my homework, had someone dig into her so-called private life. There were whispers about late-night calls, private lunches, and a man she'd been close to back in college. They'd even co-founded a startup together, won a national entrepreneurship competition. I'd seen a photo once, a clean-cut, brilliant-looking guy standing beside her. They'd looked good together. Too good. If her grandfather hadn't forced her to marry me, they probably would have been married by now. The thought soured everything. Even if she was talking about me at work, it was probably all for show. Something to feed the gossip mill while she kept her secret lover close. I stood up sharply, anger rising in my throat. Isabelle, that's going too far. She blinked, startled, then clasped her hands together like a child caught doing something wrong. I'm sorry, she whispered. I was wrong. Her quick apology threw me off balance. I sat down again, wary. Wrong about what exactly? I asked. She looked at me, genuinely confused. Leo, I swear I haven't brought anyone into the company. Besides, her eyes darted toward the door Chloe had disappeared through. Aren't you the one cheating? There it was again. That name. Was it her? That girl told you lies about me, didn't she? I knew I shouldn't have let her walk away, she muttered, her voice rising. Then softer, almost breaking. Do you really like her that much? You believe everything she says but won't believe me? She went silent. When she finally spoke again, her voice was trembling. Fine, she said quietly, like someone surrendering after a long fight. I can compromise, but I have to be the first wife. I choked on my coffee, spraying it across the table. Wait, what? She tilted her head, dead serious. Was she negotiating for rank now? This had gone completely off the rails. My plan had been to fake an affair and get a clean divorce, not to accidentally open auditions for a harem. Something was definitely wrong here. I studied her face. The flush on her cheeks, the way her eyes darted anywhere but mine. Isabelle, I said slowly. The person you're in love with. It's not me, right? Color flooded her face, from her cheeks all the way to the tips of her ears. Then, she gave the tiniest, shyest nod. The world screeched to a halt. Of all the possible outcomes my plan could have produced, this was nowhere in the online guides about how to make your wife divorce you. Before I could ask another question, her phone rang. The ringtone was sharp, jarring. Sorry, she said after a clipped exchange. Something urgent came up at the office. She leaned over, kissed my cheek lightly and whispered, Go home and wait for me. Then she was gone, just like that. Her professional armor back in place as she marched out of the cafe. I barely remembered walking to my car. By the time I got home, my head was spinning. I had questions. Too many. When had Isabelle started feeling this way? Why had she reacted with such cold fury to my anniversary surprise? And was she still secretly in contact with that college boyfriend? There was only one way to find out. I'd recreate the night she'd rejected me, right down to the last petal, candlelight dinner. Rose petals leading from the door to the bedroom. The same suit. When Isabelle came home and saw the setup, she froze. Then slowly, she unbuttoned her blazer and set it aside, leaving only her silk blouse and skirt. She stepped onto the petal path, her heels clicking softly against the floor, her expression unreadable. Her eyes were shining with something new this time. Not anger, hunger. Leo, she said, her lips curling into a slow, dangerous smile. You asked for this. I didn't realize the full weight of her words until the next morning, when I could barely move. The bed was a battlefield of crushed rose petals, and a few small, bright red stains on the sheets. Something was off. That hadn't been normal. The door creaked open. Isabelle walked in, her movements careful, but elegant. A faint limp in her step, and a radiant smile on her face. "Morning, honey," she said sweetly. "Are you hungry?" I made breakfast. At the table, I poked at my food while she ate like a queen, serene and glowing. "Last time I did all this, candles, dinner, you were furious," I said carefully. "What changed?" She dabbed her lips with a napkin and met my eyes. "I thought you'd been corrupted by another woman," she admitted softly. "You never used to be so romantic, and I'm not very exciting. I don't know the tricks other women do." That almost made sense. Isabelle never said things like that, but I still needed answers. "I heard you were in love with someone from college," I said. "Are you still in touch? Because if you're trying to have it both ways, who are you talking about?" she interrupted, frowning. I nudged her foot under the table, accidentally brushing her leg instead. Smooth silk stockings. Great. Now it looked like I was flirting. "Don't play dumb," I muttered. "Jason Carter. You two were inseparable." Her eyes widened. "Oh, him? Jason Carter?" The name matched what I'd found. Her reaction didn't. "Oh, Leo," she sighed. "It's not what you think. I never liked him. Who's been feeding you this nonsense?" She stood, pacing, then turned back to me, almost panicked. "Honey, don't misunderstand. He just had a good head for business, so I helped him out. That's all. He's married now. His wife is my assistant. She's on maternity leave. That's why I've been working late." To prove it, she shoved her phone in my face, showing their texts. I sighed, finally relenting. Okay, I believe you." She sank back into her chair, relief flooding her face. Then she narrowed her eyes. "Wait, did you investigate me? Crap. Isabelle hated anyone prying into her life." "No, honey, listen." I started, trying to spin it. She leaned forward and pressed a finger to my lips. "Shh, just admit it. You like me, don't you? No matter how wild the other women are, you'll always have space for me in your heart. They're just passing ships. I'm your final destination." Her grin was giddy, lovesick, absurdly confident. I stared at her, helplessly torn between exasperation and affection. "I wasn't cheating," I confessed. "I thought you didn't like me, so I made it up to get a divorce. I was afraid if I stayed, I'd fall too deeply in love with you to ever get out." The second I said it, I wanted to crawl under the table. It sounded like the world's corniest movie line. Isabelle just stared, wide-eyed, speechless, for a full 30 seconds. Then softly, "Honey, you really like me?" And just like that, everything shifted. Her expression melted into pure, glowing joy. She tore my toast into pieces and fed them to me like a child. And before I could even process what was happening, she pulled me close again, laughing breathlessly against my neck. That day, and the night that followed, were a blur. After that, Isabelle became a completely different person. When I went out with my friends, she came too, smiling sweetly and batting away their teasing. "Miss Sterling, aren't you usually swamped with work?" one asked. She smiled, sliding her hand into mine. "Being with my husband is my most important job." Another laughed. "You're so clingy with Leo these days." She shot them a playful look. "Isn't it normal for a wife to be clingy? I mean, look at him, our Leo's a great catch." Her laughter rang out like champagne bubbles, and all I could do was smile, wondering how on earth I'd gone from faking an affair to falling helplessly, completely, irrevocably in love with my wife. Everything I had was hers. And now, apparently, everything she had was mine. That's how she'd put it. Everything I have is his. It was so disgustingly sweet that I almost couldn't listen. But when my friends heard her say it, when they saw the way she looked at me, I won't lie. I felt a little taller that night. The tables had turned, and for once, I was the man everyone envied. Her phone rang, and I already knew it was work. It always was. "Go on," I told her, smirking. "Just don't take too long." She grinned, leaned in, and planted a noisy kiss on my cheek, loud enough for all my friends to hear, then drove off in her silver coupe. The second she was gone, Matt leaned across the table, that same mischievous glint in his eyes. "Well, looks like Mrs. Sterling's gone. Should we call some girls? Liven things up?" I just laughed and shook my head. "You guys have your fun. I'm heading home." Honestly, I'd been walking on clouds these past few days. Isabelle had gone from cold and distant to warm and affectionate almost overnight. I didn't need more fun. If I added anything else to my mood, I might actually float away. But as I was leaving the club, my phone buzzed. A message. "Leo, help me," it was from Chloe. A second later, a location pin dropped below the text. I frowned. Chloe and I weren't close, not anymore. But ignoring that kind of message, I couldn't do it. And in some strange, twisted way, she was the reason Isabelle and I had even started to fix things. I typed quickly, "Going to check something. Be home later." Then I forwarded the pin to Isabelle. Just the location, not the name. No need to cause unnecessary drama. The address led me to a rundown auto repair shop in an industrial corner of Queens. The air reeked of mold and engine oil, and the whole place looked abandoned, the kind of spot you only saw in crime shows. "Chloe." I called out, my voice echoing against rusted metal. No answer. A pit formed in my stomach. Had her father's creditors found her? I tried calling. The second she picked up, her voice came through the speaker, terrified. "Leo, run!" The silence shattered. Shapes emerged from the shadows. 4 of them. "Keep an eye on the girl," one barked. "That's Isabelle Sterling's husband." "Grab him!" Hearing Isabelle's name froze the blood in my veins. So this was about her. Business, rivalries. 4 men closed in, built like they bench-pressed motorcycles for fun. I wasn't exactly helpless, I'd taken boxing for years, but I wasn't stupid either. The odds weren't great. Still, I moved first. A quick jab, then a hard right hook. One of them dropped before he even realized he was in a fight. The other 3 got cautious. They spread out, circling me, grabbing pipes and broken boards from the floor. I snatched a wooden plank to block a swing, the sharp crack of impact ringing in my ears. "Watch out." Chloe screamed from somewhere behind me. I spun. Too slow. Something whooshed past my head. The air itself seemed to scream. Then came a sickening thud. But there was no pain. Because the hit hadn't landed on me. It hit her, Isabelle. She was standing right behind me, her arm raised, blocking a blow that had been meant for my skull. "You touch my husband," she snarled, her voice trembling with fury. "And I'll kill you." The man who'd swung at me stumbled back, terrified. The sight of the steel pipe hitting her arm, the sound it made, flipped a switch in me. I saw red. I didn't think. I didn't block. I just hit. Fists, elbows, pure instinct, until I heard sirens wailing in the distance and my legs finally gave out. Everything went black. When I woke up, the world was white. Antiseptic hospital. The sterile brightness stabbed at my eyes. Isabelle was asleep in a chair beside me, her head wrapped in a small bandage, her right arm in a heavy cast. I shifted, and her eyes flew open instantly. "Leo," she gasped, voice thick with tears. "Honey, you're awake." "Doctor, doctor!" After the chaos settled, the doctor confirmed what I already suspected. I was fine. Just a few bruises and cuts. Isabelle, on the other hand, wasn't so lucky. Both arms fractured. "You're hurt way worse than me," I said, exasperated. "Lie down." She shook her head stubbornly. "No, I'm watching you." "Watching me do what?" "I'm not going to crawl out the window." Her voice softened, trembling. "I was so scared, Leo. If I'd been a minute later..." She didn't finish the sentence. Apparently, the men hadn't been after Chloe at all. They'd been after us. A nurse came in to change my IV. Young, bright smile, pink scrubs. And for a second, I realized how dry my throat was. I swallowed reflexively. That was a mistake, because Isabelle saw. The flash of jealousy in her eyes could have set the hospital bed on fire. For a second, I thought she'd try to strangle the nurse, if her casts hadn't made that impossible. Thank God for modern medicine. A few minutes later, the doctor came by to check Isabelle's arms. She sat there trying to look composed, but the look she kept sneaking at me could have melted glass. Her designer blouse, ripped and torn from the fight, didn't help my focus. Either. Excuse me, doctor, I said weakly, raising a hand. Will this, injury affect our, marital activities? The doctor blinked. Then his face lit with understanding. Oh, intercourse? Yes, definitely. It's a strenuous activity. Could cause the fractures to shift. As her husband, you should be focused on her recovery, not... Right, I said quickly. You heard the man, Isabelle. Doctor's orders. Her face fell like a disappointed child's. Fine. When the doctor left, she went quiet for a while, staring at her bandaged hands. Then softly, Honey, I'm sorry. All I ever did was work, make money. But now I see. None of it matters. I raised an eyebrow. What do you mean, your money? She blinked. From my company, of course. And who are you earning it for? For you. So, I said slowly. How did money you earned for me become your money? Because I gave it all to you, she said, defensive. Why would you give me my own money? Her eyes narrowed. Then I won't give it to you. Why would you withhold my money from me? She froze, completely short-circuited. Then she lunged, or tried to. The cast stopped her. I raised my hands quickly. Whoa, doctor's orders, bed rest. We're both resting, remember? She glared at me, pouting like a scolded child. And in that sterile, too bright hospital room, surrounded by the scent of antiseptic and flowers, I couldn't help but laugh, because somehow, against all logic and odds, I'd fallen in love with the most stubborn, infuriating, impossible woman on the planet, and I wouldn't trade a second of it.